Good morning, traders. I am Emily Vani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Monday, August 26th. We kick off the run-up to the end of August and the unofficial end of summer this week after stocks had a run-up on Friday. At the close of regular trading, the Dow ended higher by 462 points, or 1.14%. The S&P 500 added 63 points, or 1.5%. The Nasdaq climbed 258 points, or nearly 1.5%. Bill, let's get into Monday in a new week with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Yes, good morning, Emily. I'm watching the S&Ps. The S&Ps are higher. We're up 0.18%. That's 0.2%. It looks good on paper. We'll see if these gains are going to be able to hold today. Oil's really in focus this morning. You got oil spiking this morning hard to the upside, up over 2%. I actually see it up 2.8% this morning. That's got to be a concern. And, with that, you get the oil stocks moving higher, and then there's the tensions in the Middle East with, Israel and Hezbollah trading, strikes. But, the good news is that's kind of over. So, I think while oil's up this big right now, I don't know if that spike is going to be able to hold because, now from here on out, those spike that's done and over with, now it really turns over to the ceasefire talks, which are still ongoing. They're not finished yet. So there's still a possibility for an agreement in place. So we got to keep an eye on those talks. But oil is really moving the market this morning. And in the week ahead, we got a lot of good earnings coming out. NVDA, Salesforce, CrowdStrike, ULTA Beauty, LULU MRVL, DELL. They're all scheduled to report this week, and others. On the economic front, we got the GDP data, we get the personal income and expense data, coming out this week as well. Those are going to be two key reports. I see National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan's going to be in China this week, and China wants to talk to him about normal issues. They want to talk about Taiwan. They want to talk about the tariff issues in the U.S. because everybody's throwing tariffs. Countries around the world are throwing tariffs against China, and China's got a lot of backlash because of the fact is that they are doing some mass production and undercutting prices across the board worldwide. So they're trying to put their manufacturing engine on steroids and just kicking it up, and that's not really going well with a lot of countries around the world. So that is a concern. But let's take a look at the action overseas and what's happening overseas in Europe. The DAX is down. It's only down 15 points. It's 0.8%. 0.08, less than 0.1%. It's okay. It's not horrible. There was a business sentiment index in Germany that came out that was a little weak. In England, the FTSE, it's closed today. There's a holiday going on over there in London. The CAC in Paris, it's up 20 points or 0.26%. We're seeing some gains in luxury stocks this morning. That's positive. In Asia last night, the Nikkei fell 254 points or 0.66%. The key issue there is really the yen. The yen is strengthening, and the dollar's weakening. That trend is likely to continue because the U.S. is likely to be lowering rates, whereas in Japan they're going to be hiking rates, and that divergence really creates problems for Japan's equity market. So I'm not surprised that we're seeing some losses in the Nikkei, and expect those losses to continue through next year. We're talking the Hang Seng. The Hang Seng actually finished up 1.06%. Gains were across the board in Hong Kong. With property stocks jumped 2%. Consumer stocks and tech, they were all up 1%. So that's positive. China, flat to higher, was up a point or 0.04%. Okay. Nothing really to shake home about. But oil is really the key. You're looking at WTI this morning, and it's up, $2.16. That's 2.89%. You got Brent up $2.18. It's 2.76%. Brent is over $81 a barrel. I mean, that's got to be a source of concern. Those tensions in the Middle East in the pre-market, it's really causing oil prices to spike. Don't know if those gains are going to be able to hold here. I do kind of see them weakening, but we'll have to wait and see as as we get closer to the close today if oil's able to hold on to these gains. But that's what I have for you in terms of market moving news this morning, Emily.
Bill, as you told us in part of your opening there, earnings action begins to heat up as we move throughout the week. Some big names that certainly could be market movers. We're easing in here Monday, and again, the pace will pick up throughout the week. But give us a rundown of what we should be watching when it comes to earnings action.
There's not a lot. DICO, ticker DQ, David Quinton, they reported EPS of a loss of $1.50. Market was expecting a loss of 56 cents. So, that was a big miss. And, that was done on lower revenue. To what else? PDD reported EPS, a beat on the EPS. I mean, they did come in with a beat of 47 cents, but it was done on lower revenue. That's not really too exciting. Upcoming after the bell today, we got Trip.com. Their EPS is 74 cents. Expected move is 9.23% when they release. So, their earnings are a little bit light this morning and this afternoon, but they start to heat up later this week, specifically on Wednesday, Emily.
And we'll be following all of that right here on NewsWare's Trade Talk, keeping track of those earnings day in and day out. Now we're going to get to the day's economic events. As everybody continues to talk about the health of the economy, this is another area that's important to keep track of every day. So, Bill, what is going on in terms of economic events?
Well, at 8:30 a.m., we get durable goods orders. That could be a market mover. At 10:30 a.m., we get the Dallas Fed manufacturing survey. I don't expect anything big out of there. But obviously, the market's still kind of digesting Powell's speech from Friday. And if you notice, he's really did change, his tune from, fighting inflation to employment. He's really, saying we're not going to let that unemployment rate go above, I think he said 4.3%. So they're going to play a little catch up is needed to keep that unemployment figures from moving higher. From the unemployment figures moving higher. We'll have to wait and see how. But the non-farm payrolls, I think, come out next Friday. So we'll have to keep an eye on that one. That's going to be a key report as we head into September, and that September Fed meeting where everyone's expecting a cut of 25 basis points right now. But that's what I have for you in terms of economic news hitting the tape this morning, Emily.
Bill, you'll be keeping track of that and keeping an eye on all of that information using your NewsWare. You're keeping an eye on other types of news this morning, not just earnings action and economic events, but you're also looking at other data and information, different headlines coming out of sectors and segments. This morning, you're looking at your stocks grouped together like your Dow stocks and your FANG stocks, and you consistently track things like guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news, and other catalysts. So, Bill, what else do you see as possibly moving the markets today?
Doing a quick data check. I got 15 Dow stocks higher. I got 13 lower, 2 unchanged. I'm looking at my FANG stocks. Slight gains in Google and Netflix this morning. The rest of them are showing slight losses. Mixed bag. SPOOs are trading higher by 0.18%, which is good. We'll see if we're able to hold those gains. So you're looking at some of the news behind it. Like, there's the big thing with Apple right now is that they are unveiling their new products September 10th. They got that big release. And if you think about it, that's only 20 days away. So, you got to keep that in mind when you're watching shares of Apple. Amazon, ticker AMZN. Yeah, it's down about 0.25% this morning. But Edgar Bronfman's making an offer for Paramount Global. And one of the things he wants to do is he wants to team up with either Amazon or Apple to enhance the streaming business. So that could actually be a bonus, a benefit for Apple or Amazon, something to keep in mind of. And then Tesla. I mean, Elon Musk sent an email to ex-employees stating their company's plans to award stock options based on the anticipated impact individual staffers have to the stock and to the company. Okay. talking Dow Jones 30, we're talking IBM. IBM announced plans to cease R&D developments, R&D operations in China. Not good for China. Stock's down slightly, nothing significant. Boeing, ticker BA. NASA taps SpaceX to bring astronauts back from the space mission. That's not good news for Boeing. But they'll weather that storm. Microsoft Azure is the fastest growing cloud company among the hyperscalers, according to the data that was released last week. What else? In terms of buyback news, Moneyline, ticker ML, Michael Larry, they announced a 20 million stock repurchasing authorization this morning. But that's really all I'm seeing from news hitting the tape this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. We've now made it to that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Bill, what do you have for us to start this week?
I don't really like any of the earnings that are coming out too much. So I'm really looking at Salesforce.com, CRM, Charlie, Richard, Mary. Now, their earnings are due out Wednesday afternoon. Their EPS is $2.35. The expected move is 7.50%. If you look at Friday's call volume, 20,709 calls versus put volume of 21,639. That's negative. Then, the open interest is positive, though, 222.80K versus 198.209K. Okay. But, the call volume on the day on Friday was negative. Now, the major brokers remain positive on the stock. But here's the thing. I'm looking for weakness today. I'm looking for weakness today in the stock. And I'm thinking if it gets to a certain level, it might turn out to be a great buying opportunity and for the stock to start moving higher tomorrow morning. I'm kind of looking to get in under 260. You look at the stock right now and it's trading, 264.58. And I'm expecting to drop $4.50. Yeah, I could see that happening. But if I can get in under 260, that would be a really good opportunity. But I'm kind of, hard on that line. Under 260 is a buy. Over 260 is kind of, it's not really that, attractive for me. But if I can get it, but if it does show some weakness today, I will be doing something in Salesforce.com, ticker CRM, Charlie, Richard, Mary, Emily.
Looking at Salesforce in a discount there, Bill, and we will follow that along with you. Coming up, we will do a recap on Friday's pick of the day to see how that went, so stick with us. But ahead of that, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our hot off the press segment. Bill, take it away.
Okay, let's see what we see here this morning. SolarEdge shares jump as the CEO steps down. SEDG, Sam Edward, David Grace. Monday.com, MNDY reaches 1 billion milestone in annual recurring revenue. MNDY. State Street, ticker STT, Sam, Tom, they taken a strategic stake in a fintech platform, Raise. Uber, ticker UBER, they got hit with a $324 million fine by the Netherlands for transferring personal data out of Europe into the United States. FTC is about to, argue that Kroger's $25 billion merger with Albertson is bad for shoppers. Alphabet, Amazon, Apple, Grab Holdings, and Meta Platforms. An Asian industry group that includes these companies have called on the Malaysian government to take a pause on its plan to require social media services to apply for a license. Rivan, ticker RIVN, a fire broke out, but it was done in the parking lot of Rivan's automotive manufacturing facility in Normal, Illinois on Saturday. Lululemon, the Lululemon's having an issue with the duplicate versions of some of their premium products, especially their leggings, because those sales of duplicate versions of the product seems to really be spiking. And where are they spiking? TikTok, young kids. That's all I see this morning happening, Emily.
Okay, Bill, before we dive into another week of trading, let's do that check in on Friday's pick of the day, which was PDD Holdings. Now, as you told us, they did release earnings this morning, and the slower than expected sales growth in the second quarter is, sinking the stock a little bit this morning. This is the company that's the parent of Temu Temu and Pinduoduo, and they were warning in their earnings about future growth will face pressure. So again, investors aren't loving that this morning. You were trading this one on Friday ahead of this report today, and you did mention if you saw your gain, you'd get out. You wouldn't hold it into earnings. So, Bill, how did your call work out?
Listen, on numbers basis, it wasn't great. I mean, the stock opened up at $145.28 and closed at $139.87. And I did have that feeling it was going to miss because, when you look at those past comments from the CEO, I mean, he did state in the last quarter's earnings report, and he started talking about long term, and that's always, that always raises the hair on the back of my neck when I see that. But, I did make money on it. I mean, I traded some calls on Friday in PDD, and I got in, these calls at, $5 and another trade at $4.95, and I got out at $5.60. So I made money in it, but, in terms of the stock didn't have the gain that I was thinking that it would, but it did. There were pockets of opportunity in the stock where there was some volatility for a trade, but it didn't have an earnings beat, and it didn't match everything on my model. So I mean, I wasn't thrilled with it, but there was a lack of real earnings coming out on a Friday and a Monday morning. So that's sometimes you got to go with the one that's there, and pick your poison and just try and get in and trade when you see some weakness, and that's what I did on Friday. So I made a little money. I was happy. I'm happiest that I didn't hold anything into earnings, but PDD, was not a great pick, but there was a lack of quality catalysts on Friday, Emily.
And Bill, we'll take a little bit of a gain there over no gain at all. And we will also check in with you tomorrow about today's Salesforce pick of the day. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here tomorrow and each weekday morning this week at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Vani, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.